And it took Cindy about 4 months longer than it took me as the Lord kind of got my heart prepared to be a pastor, to lead a congregation. When I talked to her about it and said, I think the Lord is calling us to plant a church, her first response was, no, he isn't. So she wasn't quite ready to do this thing. So about 4 months later, she came up to me and she said, okay, I feel like the Lord has put this upon my heart as well. So we decided at that point, let's pray. And let's just simply ask the Lord, when and where do you want us to go? And that night, Cindy ended up having a dream where we were standing on the corner with a red brick building there, and a voice spoke to her in the dream and said, you're going to plant in Cleburne in January. Now, Cindy had never heard of Cleburne before. I'd heard of it. I wasn't quite sure where it was, but that next morning after she told me, we looked it up. That weekend, we ended up driving into town for the first time, and as soon as we crossed the city limit border, both of us got physically ill. Now, fast forward just a little bit. Yeah, common reaction, Michael said. Yeah, okay, welcome to the fold, right? So, shortly thereafter, after we ending up in town, there was opportunities that we had to, I would say it this way. People thought we were kind of crazy. We caught a lot of mixed reactions for this because we were going to an area where we knew absolutely no one. This isn't the best church planning strategy, by the way, to where you just, okay, I'm leaving my job, I'm leaving everything, I'm leaving my family, I'm leaving my friends to go to a town that we don't know, and we're just going to trust that God is going to do something with it. So at that time, one of the people in my life told me that I needed to join an organization called ARC. ARC is just an acronym for the Association of Related Churches. It's kind of a non-denominational association that you can become a part of. And if you do, they give you like $50,000-ish, kind of depending on vision and all that, to launch your church. Now, after going through kind of the initial parts of this, and this is a non-denominational association, so after kind of working through that, finding out who the leaders of this organization are, Cindy and I felt no peace from the Lord that we needed to associate. And by the way, they give you $50,000, but they want 10% of your tithes for the remainder of your church life. So this is just something that we didn't feel like the Lord was calling us to do at the time. Well, we came down here as an independent church. And the Lord, the first couple of years, it was challenging. It was tough. But the Lord has been faithful, and he's grown our body over the course of time. And we've been meeting now in this school for 9 years. Now, just so you know, I came from a church that was a startup church that for 3 years we met in a daycare. We did setup and tear down. So in the last 15 years of being a pastor, I've done setup and tear down for about 12 and a half years. Every single week, sometimes twice a week, setting up something for service. So to say that I'm kind of done with it would be something that I would say about 8 years ago. But the Lord has had us here. The Lord has been faithful to us. And now we had a big transition moment happen a month ago. Now, I want to work you through what happened right before I got this announcement. So I was in here just praying. I usually get here about an hour to 30 minutes before the band gets here. I'm just praying over the building, just connecting with the Lord, asking him if there's anything special that he wants to do today. And as I was praying, I was kind of in one of those in a funk moods. I was just kind of lamenting because I was seeing within our community several churches that are breaking ground, new buildings are going up, and I'm just kind of feeling not seen by the Lord, right? So I'm asking God, and I'm saying, Lord, have I not been faithful with what you've given us? I'm looking around the building, thankful that we've had this space, but at the same time, just kind of lamenting and kicking my can, saying, Lord, when is it our time? So after asking the Lord, have I not been faithful, we go to start band practice, and one of the band members comes up to me and says, hey, I feel like the Lord has something for you this morning. I was like, okay. And he said, I feel like the Lord told me to tell you that you've been faithful. You've been faithful with 3, and he's about to give you 2 more. Now, I have no idea exactly what that means just yet, but they kind of got my wheels spinning because I was just asking the Lord those questions. So, later that Sunday, if you guys remember, I came and I began to talk to you guys. We had our first question and answer that same Sunday about joining the Baptist Association. This has been a question, by the way, that has been kind of brought back up over the course of the last 2 to 3 years. I'd met the leader of the Baptist Association in town quite a while ago, and he's been kind of trying to get us to join up with the Baptist Association. Mark and I, well, mostly me, kind of been dragging my feet through the whole thing. But that morning, I ended up telling you guys about this for the first time and having our first question and answer. What you guys don't know is Mark had zero idea I was going to do that morning. Like, he came up to me afterwards, he's like, "You did what?" And I was like, "I thought we were supposed to do this weekend. Am I wrong?" And he's like, "Yeah, you didn't tell me anything." So it was weird because I just felt like, gosh, we are supposed to talk about this weekend. Well, what I didn't know is the next day I was going to get called into the school. And I could tell just by the demeanor of the facilities director that she had some news for me that might not be agreeable with me. So when she spoke to me, she said, "Well, I don't know how to say this, but we're going to have to increase your rent." And we pay $500 a month to meet here. Like, this dirt cheap, right? And I'm thinking, okay, they're going to double it, maybe even triple it, and we're going to be okay. She said, "Well, it's going from $500 a month to $6,000 a month. So $72,000 a year to meet in this space." And it's just kind of laughable at that point, right? There's no way that we can handle this as a church. But there was zero fear that ended up coming to me. Now, over the course of 9 years and watching God move, you just get a sense of trust in the Lord that, okay, this is going to be a big transition point in the life of our church, and this is something God is about to build a spectacular story for us. This is going to be a testimony for our church. So I ended up telling you guys about this that week as well. The next Sunday that we came in, I let you know that all this was going on. Now, there's been several churches. There's one school that we've been talking to and just trying to find out, okay, what is it that God is leading us to? Where are we supposed to go, Lord? Because you have something for us. Now, in all that, I asked the Lord for 3 things. I asked the Lord, number 1, would you give us a space that's large enough so that we don't have to divide the body and have 2 services? Now, this is part of a problem, by the way, when you're a church plant. You come into an area where you don't have a building. You're building from the ground up, and there's a lot of buildings that you can use in the beginning because you have few people. But then as the body begins to expand and grow, and you're talking numbers like 120, 150, all of a sudden, finding a building that even fits us in this town, all of a sudden, the options get less and less and less. So number 1, I was just like, "Lord, would you do us a solid and just give us a building big enough that we can meet in, that we can just have 1 service." The second request was, can you put us in town, because we've been meeting on the outskirts of town. We're not visible to anybody, and we're not in a neighborhood. It's like nobody in town knows who we are, so can you do that as well? And then finally, number 3, I'd ask him also that, let me remember what it was. Oh, that we would no longer have to do setup and tear down. How do I forget that? I'm like, "Lord, please, if you can do anything." So when we were talking to the school, for example, we're thinking, gosh, this is going to be kind of a lateral move to where we're still going to have to do setup and tear down, but it's better than meeting on the street, right? So through all that, we knew we had a conversation coming up with a particular pastor in town, and probably 3 or 4 days before we're going to sit down and have a conversation with this guy, there's a dream that I end up having to where we're actually inside of his building, but it's completely different. It looks completely different. It's been completely beautified. It was just stellar. And Mark was in the dream as well, and Mark had a list on a yellow sheet of paper of different churches that we were supposed to look at, and he was really giddy. If you know Mark, he doesn't get really giddy. So he's just bouncing around. He's like, "Hey, look at this." And he's opening up this piece of paper to show me these other churches. And what's inside of it is just mouse or rat droppings. Essentially just saying all the other options we have are, well, to use a 5th grade term, crap. They're not for us. But at the end of this dream, we're both just skipping and jumping and praising God for what he had just done. Now, I, of course, told Mark and Amy and Cindy about this afterwards, so I was pretty excited to meet with this church, with this pastor for the church. Now, 2 years ago, we went through this process. This has been something that's been on my mind. This is something that, as your pastor, I've been looking at every avenue you can imagine to get us a building, to get us somewhere where we have some sort of permanency. And it's just been challenging. It's been hard. So 2 years ago, we ended up meeting with this same church, and they were just not in a position that we could do anything with them, because with the building that they have, although it's big enough for us, there's just certain things about the building that don't work for us. For example, they're set up for a choir. We don't have a choir. We need a tech booth to be able to just switch up levers and be able to bring up vocals here and there. They didn't have any kind of tech booth. The rooms weren't ready for our children. There's just a lot of stuff that was there, and they were in a position at that point of saying, with the church we have, there's no changes that can be made to the building at all. So even though I'd had this dream, we were going in to talk to this guy. There was a bit of excitement. There was a bit of an apprehension as well, because I've already walked through this before and thought, I'm going to have to ask the difficult question. It's going to be a no. And surprisingly enough, when I sat down, everything had changed. I talked to him, and there wasn't a, we don't want you to be homeless kind of thing. There was an excitement of us coming and sharing space with them. Not only that, but when I asked the question of, we're going to have to mess with the stage, build a tech booth, he's like, awesome. We want you to come in and do anything that you need to do to get this building ready for you. So the Lord has leveled all opposition against us, and he has answered all three of those prayers. This space is big enough for us. This space also, we will have to do no setup and tear down. Praise his name. And it's also central in town, so that people are going to know we're there. Now, with joining up and going to this Baptist church, I do want to say one thing to you, because I think part of the feeling can sometimes be that, are we just doing this in order to be able to find a space to meet in? And let me speak to that just for a minute, because I want to ease your fears on that. Mark and I have had numerous set-downs with different pastors in town. There's been opportunities over the course of the last, really 7 years, for us to join up with churches. We've been welcomed into their building. They've even talked to us about merging with them. But there was a caveat every time, and that caveat was something about our church would have to change. Either we would have to change polity. In other words, we would have to go from being elder-led to congregationally led. We've had conversation over gifts of the Spirit and how we would not so much have to change that, but I was told that, man, if you believe that about the gifts of the Spirit, this is going to ruin you as a pastor. We've had conversations of, let me think, all sorts of, we were just about to the point of saying, hey, we may merge with this church, when all of a sudden they found out, who knows what the word eschatology means? It's the study of the end times, right? So like the book of Revelation. Well, because I didn't hold the same position as their pastor did over the book of Revelation, we couldn't merge with them. So it's just been strange things like that we've dealt with every single time, a roadblock. But now, at the hour that we need it, God has opened up the opportunity for us to do this. So he has answered all prayers. We are not going to be homeless, but there's going to be a season of transition that we're about to go in to get there. Did I mention the name of the church? Oh, I didn't. Okay. Well, I will later. But, no, I'm just joking. So the church is North Cleburne Baptist Church. It is on England Street. And where you and I have struggled because we don't have much space here. We've been meeting in halls. Church, we have nothing but space available to us now. This has got to be one of the top 5 biggest churches in Cleburne, and we've just been given the key to it. God has been faithful to our church. I'm so excited to get in there. Now, again, thank you, Lord. Did I mention no setup and tear down? Just in case, yes. I'm so excited. So there's going to be a bit of a transition period for this. And there's also going to be a changing of time that we're going to have to do for service. Because there's already a church that meets in there at our time, 10:30, we're going to have to move our service to later in the day. But a lot of our young families are like, what, we get to sleep in on Sundays now? Yes, I'm not mad at it either, Michael. But we're going to have to move it. It's going to be at 4 p.m. over at the church, North Cleburne Baptist. So the other thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get in there and hang some TVs. We're going to have to do some flooring. We're going to have to fix a little bit of drywall here and there. We're going to have to build a tech booth. We're going to have to get the stage ready for our band. So as quickly as we can, and we're going to have a big cleanup day there as well, because there's a lot that they've accumulated because the building was built in the 60s. So we got to clean out a lot of these rooms as well. But the Lord has given us a palette on which to draw on which to dream in. And we get to go in there together and make this space beautiful. So just be on the lookout. Over the course of time, I'm going to be telling you about these work days that are coming. Some of this stuff is more of a specialized team, like some of you can paint, some of you can lift stuff, but not everybody can maybe put up drywall, texture it, or lay flooring or something like that. So we're going to be beginning this. Be ready for that. Michael, did you have a quick question? So the when, that's a good question. I don't know. But we know this. It has to be by the end of this summer, because that's when we have to be out of here. My guess is it's going to take us somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks to get in there. And the other thing that you're going to see is on Main Street, we're also going to put up a big magnetic sign that says, grand opening of Pursuit Bible Church, new location. Come visit us, 4 p.m., North Cleburne Baptist Church. So this is going to give us an opportunity to meet people within the town that maybe they couldn't make a service. When all the churches meet around 10:30, you and I get to have a service in which maybe we get to serve a different segment of the city. So I'm excited for what the Lord is going to do. This is going to be amazing. And so, again, probably 6 to 8 weeks before we get in, but as the wheels continue to turn, I'll give you more and more information on it. And other than that, the last thing that I want to say is because it's going to take us some startup capital to be able to get in, to be able to buy the TVs, buy the computers, buy everything that we needed. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me this for about 9 years. When are we going to do a building campaign and start saving for this? We're going to go ahead and start that today. So, yes. So, all you guys that have been asking, here's the QR code. So, if you can go ahead and press the next slide. So, this is the same place that you've always gone to go to give. So, it's not going to be any different, except when you go to it, go to the next slide real quick. There's going to be a new section on there. I circled it in red called Building Fund. So, that's where you would put anything that you want to give towards this building fund. So again, this is Pursuit getting to lay our foundations within the city, finally. So I'm excited about it. We'll talk about it more and more as time goes on. If you can go ahead and put the QR code back up, just in case anybody needs it. And we're going to go ahead and break for lunch, but I'm going to be available. If anybody has any questions and want to talk about it, work through things, anything else, I would love to chat with you about it. Mark, is there anything else you think I should add? Yes, that's important. So we have set aside a little bit of money over the course of the 9 years we've been together. So we already have the startup money to do this. We have just over $8,000 that we're going to be able to pour into this. So anything that comes additionally to that is going to help us get there even quicker. So anything else? Cindy, anything from you? Pray for the food, yes. And there's the QR code again. What are you saying? Liam, shout. Say again. Oh, yes, the youth camp. Thank you. Okay, gosh, yes. So you were pointing at the screen, but it was still the giving thing. So we also have, really quickly, I'll be fast with this and then I'll pray for our meal. We also have our youth camp that's going to be going on this week. They're going to be leaving on Monday. So if you are a youth that is going to youth camp, I would like for you to come up to the stage as well. So if you're a youth going to youth camp, come on up. We're going to pray for you. And also, if you are a leader going to youth camp, I'd like for you to come up as well.